and welcome back to The Organized Author. I'm Lucinda, and today I'm going to help you with editing any writing project that you're working on, from a school essay to a research paper, an article for a magazine or newspaper, or a book manuscript. So hold on to your seat and let's get started. Well, the first step in any successful writing project is to plan ahead. So let's say, for instance, you have an essay due on September 1st. Well, you don't want to wait until August the 25th to start working on it. So let's just write down in our calendar when it's due, which is September the 1st, and then write out some estimated deadlines that you want to make for yourself for some drafts and other things you need to do. So for instance, you could do the first draft by August the 10th, make your edits after that, and then make another draft by August the 20th. And then plan on having some peer reviews by August the 27th, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then you could probably turn it in a little early by August the 30th. Wouldn't that be awesome? So step 1, plan ahead. Now step 2 is to take a break before you edit. This is very important because you need a fresh set of eyes when you go back over your draft to make corrections. Otherwise, if you just continue working on it right after you've written the draft, you won't catch everything. You just won't notice it because it'll just be the same project you've continued to work on. So you can do anything that helps take your mind completely off of your project. For me, I may read something, or I may do what I'm doing right here, which is watching YouTube or watching Netflix. You could take a break, take a snack break, you could take a lunch break, call someone on the phone. You can even step away from it completely, which is really what I recommend above anything, if you can, is take a few days before you look at it, and you have really, really fresh eyes then. So for step 2, we're going to take a break before we edit. So we decided to walk to the corner store and buy a bag of Doritos. And so we decided to walk to the corner store and buy a bag of Doritos. I already said that. What you just witnessed is a great example for why you need to do step 3, read your draft. I review and edit a lot of book manuscripts, and you would be surprised how many people ignore this step. What you want to do is simply read it as if you were looking at it for the first time. By doing so, you should catch mistakes like duplicated material, obvious misspellings, missing or incorrect punctuation, extra spaces for typed material, things that make absolutely no sense at all. So this step makes a huge difference. Step 3, read your draft. Step 4, review for clarity and consistency. For clarity, you want to put yourself in the shoes of the readers. Would what you wrote make sense to who is going to read it? You have to remember that you know what you want to communicate, so your brain will fill in any missing information on paper. Your readers can't fill in those blanks. They will either be confused or they will fill in the missing details with the wrong information. Here's an example sentence. He stopped talking. Does the previous sentence or paragraph clarify who he is? Conversations are also important. Make sure the reader can tell who is talking. Let's say you are describing a medical procedure. Did you write it in such a way that the person reading it could understand? Consistency involves things like how words are spelled and the use of nicknames and acronyms. Words like judgment and acknowledgement can be spelled 2 different ways. Choose a spelling and stick with it. Spell out acronyms upon first use and then stick with the acronym from that point forward. Avoid switching back and forth between nicknames and proper names. Step 4, review for clarity and consistency. You'll be glad you took this important step. Now, step 5, double check your grammar. I think the best way to do this is by using the 11 Rules of Writing by junketstudies.com. Don't just Google 11 Rules of Writing and choose any set of rules. There are multiple sites out there with 11 rules, but they are not all equal. I reviewed a bunch of them, and the rules at junketstudies.com are the best. I provided the link below so you can go straight to them. I copied and pasted them in MS Word for me, and I arranged the examples so it was clear as to which are correct and which are incorrect. Then I printed them on yellow paper and highlighted the correct ones green and the incorrect ones orange. I recommend reviewing these rules a couple of times before checking your grammar. You can always reference individual rules while reviewing your document. So step 5, check your grammar. Step 6, don't leave the reader with unanswered questions. The person reading your project shouldn't finish it wondering about information you didn't address. Make sure you've clearly stated the parameters of your project early on, usually in the introduction. For example, let's say you're writing your biography. You can't fit everything in it, so state what parts of your life you're going to cover and why. For the areas you are going to cover, let the reader know why you might not go into further details for certain events or topics. Let's say you're writing a research paper on Abraham Lincoln's presidency. How much of his life before the presidency are you going to cover, and what aspects of his time in office will you address? Will you include any information on his family life, health, or anything else not directly related to his political position? Step 6, don't leave the reader with unanswered questions. Step 7, address plagiarism, citations, and copyright infringement. So for plagiarism, that is where you are taking credit for using someone else's material. That doesn't mean that you had any intention of doing so, but if you don't give credit for where you got that information, then you are plagiarizing it. How you cite that information all depends on where you are. If you're in high school or in college, typically it's like an APA or MLA type of citation, and you would get that information from your school. But if you are writing, let's say, a manuscript for a book, you can use APA or MLA, or you can use a lot of other different options, which you can find out about from your resource librarian. But you could do things like endnotes, citation pages. There's multiple options. And so you want to make sure that you cite the material. If you are using 3 or more words in a row exactly the way that they are stated, then you also have to use quotation marks. All right, now copyright infringement is very, very important. That's where you are using material without permission from the author. So you want to make sure that you look in the front on the citation page of a book, a website, anything that you could be duplicating that has a statement that says you have to get permission to use any of this material. A lot of times websites don't say that, but sometimes they do actually have a statement for what can be used and how it can be used, or who to go through to get permission to use any of the material. So you want to be sure and follow those procedures there and on the copyright page of a book or magazine or anything else that you may be using. If nothing is stated, then you want to still assume that you should still obtain permission just in case, so that you're covered and you don't have to worry about being charged with any infringement. So it's very important for this step. Now for articles, you would simply state who provided the information. So an example would be said John Doe of John Doe Publications, or according to an article recently published in John Doe magazine. So you just state who provided that information. Address plagiarism, citations, and copyright infringement. Okay, well the last step before you do your final edit is to consider doing a peer review or a set of peer reviews. That's where you have someone else look over your document before you submit it to whomever that is. So if you're in school, that would be your friend, or in college, that would be a friend who gets A's on their papers, someone you know who knows what a good quality project should look like and will give you good input. If you're doing an article, it might be a coworker who also works for the same publication, or a friend who works for that publication, for a different publication, who's in the same industry. If you're writing a book, I always recommend that you have 3 to 5 friends, no more than that, who will review your document. Friends or coworkers or co-professionals who would review your document and give you good constructive criticism. Not people who will tell you everything looks just great, but who will really honestly tell you what they think you could do to make your project better. All right, so that's the end of that step. Alright everyone, in case you didn't know, I have a giveaway video going on right now and it expires on August the 27th, so I'll have the link below and check that out. And I hope you liked today's video. If so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, happy writing.